obviously got the finish. I thought that's a good finish, and it was like early on, so I was thinking, oh, there's a chance. Now I remember I was watching. I think I said in an interview after they said, oh, how the fight's going. I was like, oh, like obviously Tom, I want to win. All English fighters, I want to win. Modestus, my training partner as well. I said I want him to win. But I was like, I do hope the fights are a little bit more boring, more chance for me. And then I think it got Paddy Pimblett, and he had that amazing finish against Bobby Green. I was like, that's definitely getting one. And then obviously Tom stopped like blades in the first minute, and I was like, he's definitely getting one. And obviously Tom was there, all them like having a few cans that he just won. And he's like, oh, Mick, have you heard the news? And I was like, no, what? And he's like, oh, you've got the bonus. But I was like, they're having us on, you know, they're winding us up. Right? I still didn't believe it that we'd actually finally come in. I was like, yes, I've got it. It was like amazing. I've just hopefully literally just had an offer accepted to buy a house and everything now, so everything's good.
Today we are joined by UFC heavyweight prospect Mick Parkin. Great to have you on the show, Mick.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
Now, for those who maybe don't know yourself or know your story, do you want to just tell us a bit first how you got into MMA?
Yeah, I started MMA when I was, my very first like training was about 15. I went to a local like kickboxing and jiu-jitsu gym, and just because my friends trained there, my two best friends trained at the time. My mum sort of pushed it into it. She was like, oh, just go try it, you know, you might like it. So I started training when I was about 15, kickboxing and jiu-jitsu, and then just slowly did it more and more, like twice a week, coming to like 3 times a week, then like every night. Then like when I went to like college and everything, I was training like every day. And then towards the end, I started like training like twice a day as much as possible. And then I think I had my first fight when I was about 19. I had a kickboxing fight. And I was since I had my first fight like 2021, then just started thinking, oh, I'm half decent at this. Let's just keep fighting. I just enjoyed the fighting really and the training of it. And then like years down the line, like signed the UFC. It's crazy.
Was there a specific moment kind of early on that you realised, oh, you know what, I could make a good career at this?
Well, yeah, I just thought like I was like young. I was probably not that confident really and stuff like that. Training, I was probably thinking, oh, I like it. And I was a bit nervous to fight, and I thought I was doing okay. And I was training with some really good people who were doing good. And I thought, oh, I'm doing all right as well. So I pushed it from there. And then yeah, I think when I turned pro, like a lot of people were talking to us, and they were like, oh, you know, like there's not many heavyweights, you know, it's a little bit easier to like get signed to these bigger shows. And I was just like, yeah, I was like half believing it. And then I won a few pros, and obviously I was like higher ranked and stuff like that. And a few more people were like, oh yeah. And then I went to train TFT where I'm at now with Andrew Fisher, and obviously Phil De Vries is the main heavyweight there. And I started training with him, and he was like, oh no, mate, you can really do something, you know, with it. And then like I kept training, and I think Paul Craig was training with us a bit, so I started training with him. And then the call up came. I think they messaged his manager, Brian, his coach at the time, and says, "Oh, you got any heavyweights?" And he was like, "No, but we're training with one Mick." And that's how the contender series come up, just of like training with high people and stuff like that. And then just doing a little bit better with them, I was a bit confident, and then I went from there, signed straight to the UFC. Crazy.
Yeah, it's been a real fast track, hasn't it? Were you always sporty before? Did you do any other sports before? No.
I played football when I was about 14 till about maybe 16, 17. But no, I was like, I'm still a bit fatty now, but I was like a massive fatty when I was a kid. Like, I was playing football a little bit. I maybe boxed a tiny bit when I was like 11, 12. Like every kid's been to a boxing gym, but nothing serious. I played football with my friends, and I wasn't any good at that either. I tried really hard. I wasn't very good. I was quite lucky all my friends were good, so I could just sort of slot in, try really hard, and get by, but I wasn't very good at it. And then, yeah, I think I'm still terrible at MMA sometimes. Some days I have bad days, but it's going well.
Yeah, it certainly is. And obviously, speaking of going well, in your last fight, it was on the Manchester card, got the first round KO, and earned yourself a performance bonus. Just how life-changing can that first bonus be sometimes that you get from the UFC?
Oh, it was amazing, you know, like, so I always thought, like, oh, obviously got the finish. I thought that's a good finish, and it was like early on, so I was thinking, oh, there's a chance. Now I remember I was watching. I think I said in an interview after they said, oh, how the fight's going. I was like, oh, like obviously Tom, I want to win. All English fighters, I want to win. Modestus, my training partner as well. I said I want him to win. But I was like, I do hope the fights are a little bit more boring, more chance for me. And then as I watched the UFC events, there was more decisions and stuff like that, and I was thinking, oh, I'm off in here, obviously because he doubled the bonus. And then I think it got Paddy Pimblett, and he had that amazing finish against Bobby Green. I was like, that's definitely getting one. And then obviously Tom stopped like blades in the first minute, and I was like, he's definitely getting one. Now he's got enough bonuses. He can get the bonus every fight. And then I went home. I think I was watching the Edwards fight, and I was knackered. I was lying in bed, in the hotel room. I was like falling asleep, and I was like, And I was like, oh yeah, and then I was half dozing off, and Phil rang us off his phone. I Phil the Freeze, and he was like, oh, I was like, my girlfriend was asleep in the bed by this point. So I was like, oh, my lass is asleep. What's it? Is it important? And he's like, very important, mate. UFC, definitely answer. So obviously I got on the FaceTime, and then obviously Tom was there. All them were like having a few cans. I just won, and he's like, "Oh, mate, have you heard the news?" And I was like, "No, no, what?" And he's like, "Oh, you've got the bonus. You've got the bonus." But I was like, they're having us on, they're winding us up. And then because they were like, "Oh, you weren't very like reactive," but I was like, "Nah." So as soon as I hung up with them, I went straight on like I think the YouTube live. No one did. I white announces the fights and bonuses, and I was just sitting very fresh in it, waiting for it to come on. And then it came on, and then it was like, yeah, so bonuses, and his first one was like, oh, Parkin. And I was like, there you win. I was like, you got one, you got one. I was like, yeah. Around me friends who would travel down, because then we'll get the train straight back at like 7 a.m. And then they were like big pissed, and they were like partners, and they're like, you getting a bonus? And I was like, awfully enough, I've just got one. And they're like, no way. So it was crazy. And then I was like, they started to sink in. And then usually when the pay, yeah, usually it's quite quick. And the bonus took like a little bit longer. So I spoke to Tom, like a week or two. Might have been a few weeks, can't remember now. I'm thinking, might change the mind here. Like, right, I still didn't believe it. Then when it actually finally come in, I was like, yes, I've got it. It's like amazing. I've just hopefully, literally just had an offer accepted to buy a house and everything now, so everything's good.
Oh wow, that's amazing, man. So literally has got yourself on the property ladder
Yeah.
with that performance bonus. It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's amazing.
And obviously you'll be fighting again on home soil. You're on that London card on March 22nd. Should be a real good card. Lots of eyes on it. And you're going up against Marcin Tybura, who's a veteran of the heavyweight division. Big step up in competition. You mentioned to me earlier that your prep's already begun. Is this one? Does this feel a bit different to your other camps? The first is you're fighting a guy who's ranked number 8. So does it feel more serious or professional in any way?
He's definitely going to be the hardest fight. He's definitely a step on competition. He's like, as a heavyweight, he's very good. I wouldn't say he's like amazing in one area, but he actually can do everything. He can grapple, which is quite unusual for heavyweights. Like most heavyweights, are powerful or explosive, but a lot of them maybe doesn't get the grappling side. Where he can actually grapple. He's got finishes grappling. His last fight, he looked great there with the early storm, and like he's tough and durable, and he's not going to give up. And he's one of them where he could still be there in the third round. You switch off for a second, he can beat you. It's not going to be an easy fight. So I just take them on as I come. I just train as hard as possible. I think I've got the best team around us. Got the best train. I think I've got the best heavyweights. Like in England at the minute, I think heavyweights is the best thing anywhere in the world. I've got like in my local gym in like Sigham in Sunderland where I live. Yes, I've got like Big Phil the Freeze. We've got like 5 or 6. There's a Paulie who's training with us every day as a pro fighter, and then a few more like amateurs. I've just got a new guy called Cameron who's like 22, but he's like a giant, and he's boxing. He's like going to be really, really good. And that's at the home gym. We've got like 4 or 5. And on Saturday rounds now, there's like maybe 5 heavyweights decent coming to spar. And then obviously we travel down Tom Aspinall's gym in Wigan, and I think in the kickboxing there on the mat, I think there was 12 heavyweights or light heavyweights on the mat, and like all like PFL, KSW, UFC, like all really, really high level.
So obviously you're fighting again on home soil.
Yeah.
Do you feel any more added pressure when you're fighting in front of the home crowd, or do you really relish those walkouts and all the cheers, etc.?
No, I love the walkouts and everything now. I've only ever fought in UK at big shows, and I've only fought in America in the Apex where there's not a crowd. It's much better with the crowd. But I've never been the away fighter, so I don't know what it's like when you're getting booed and stuff like that. Might be a little bit worse. But I used to hate it. I used to hate the walk. I used to always be like nervous, like, oh, just get in there, get the fight out the way. And then like I think somebody told us, like being Big Phil or somebody, a fighter, was like, oh, years back, you're going to look at your fighting career and be like, oh, it was amazing. I fought in this biggest show in the world, these massive arenas. You didn't want to just like rush through it. And then like the weigh-ins as well. I remember, I think it was actually Paul Craig said it. He was like, the weigh-ins are the best. You can get angry and hyped up in people's face, and they actually can't even hit you there. That's like the best, safest you'll be at the weigh-ins. It's like so enjoy it and proper get into it. So the weigh-ins, like you come in the crowd, it's a massive crowd. They're all cheering you. There's like thousands of fans. That's like crazy, and you're like, they're like cheering for me. You know, it's such a crazy feeling. And then like get weighed in. And then like I say, the fight, the walk. That's the last second before the fight actually happens. So I just like try and take it all in, all the cheers and everything. It's amazing. And then when the doors lock, it's different. It just you zone everything out. You can hear your coaches maybe, but then it's like just on the fight. So it's amazing fighting in this home crowd. And I've been lucky enough, I think, to fight like every time it's been. I think since I've been signed to the UFC, I think I've fought in every UK card, which is good.
Yeah. No, it's great. It's great. Definitely trying to build you up for sure.
Because I remember Davey Grant, who we trained with, he had one point where I hadn't fought in the UK in like 7 years or something, if not longer. He'd always been in America and that, and he was dying to fight in the UK.
Yeah, funny how that works out. So yeah, as we were saying, Tybura is obviously a veteran of the division. He's somewhat of a gatekeeper for the heavyweight, you could say. The
Yeah.
guys who beat him tend to then go on to do great things in the division. Have you thought about, if you do get the victory on March 22nd, this is probably going to propel you into the almost to sort of top 5 of the division. Is that something you want? You want to be fast tracked that quickly, potentially to the top of the division, or would you rather take it a bit more step by step?
I don't know how the rankings work. So I'm like 14th now. He's 8th. Like it doesn't automatically mean that you jump to 8th sometimes. So I think I definitely think I'll be in the top 10. I'd have thought, but I've also seen like sometimes thought, oh, I'll be in the top 15 now, and I didn't get in the top 15. So I'm not sure how it works. So maybe if you get a good finish, you put us top 10. But the UFC have been fair to us now. Like I think every fight they've offered us has been quite like evenly matched. As in like first one was a contender series person who'd won the UFC. Second person was a new person in the UFC. The third person was Muhammad Usman, but he was 3-0 in the UFC, and I was 2-0, so it was pretty fair, I thought. And then obviously this is a step up, but they were quite fair with the messages. They messaged me coach, and they were like, "Oh, how do you feel about this fight? No pressure to step up and everything." And I was like, "No, because it's a really good fight for you. You're sort of bypassing the bottom end of the top 15. You're jumping straight like top 10. It's amazing." But my coach was like, "Obviously, it's a hard fight. There's going to be needs, but there's not going to be no easy ones now." So I tell people, they're like, "Oh, how do you feel?" And I was like, "It's UFC. No one's going to be easy." And then I also looked at him, and I think he'd had like 20 fights in the UFC or something. So like people ask, "Oh, who maybe like do just knows?" They're like, "Oh, what's your next opponent like? Is he good?" And I'm like, "The 20 fights in the UFC, you're there for 20 fights, you're good." You know what I mean? There's no doubt about it. But I'm excited to fight him. I think he's I like him. I think it's a great fight and stuff like that, and it's a great name to beat.
It's something that was sort of Tom said during his trajectory through the division. I think similar to yourself was racking off the wins, and then sort of I think after that Arlovsky fight, he said he wanted to pump the brakes a little bit maybe, and didn't want to be thrown right up into the division because it is you do want to get those fights under your belt. Like you said, Tybura's had 20 fights in the UFC, so if you were to say you get a great victory, and say if you were offered the title fight in the next 2 fights, is that something you would accept?
I'd have to speak to my coach and see what he thinks, but like I still feel in my head I'm still far away from that. There's still
Yeah.
potentially 9 people left to beat before you even get there. So you'll fight them, and like I said, they've been fair to me, so we'll see what happens. We'll get Tiber out of the way first. I'm not overlooking him at all. And then even like people, if I did drop to the 10th, there's still some like tricky fights 11th, 12th who like people like. There's like Lewis and that on his day who can beat Derrick Lewis, and he's a big name and stuff like that. So there is still some interesting fights even lower down for people. Maybe he's like not as high ranked, but definitely got more maybe he's following and stuff like that. So it all depends on the UFC. They might press us onto like maybe some haulers for a bigger card. They might want us to wait a little bit till people come through. Because I remember speaking to Tom and he was like, "Oh, once you're in the rankings, you've also got to wait for who's not injured, for who's not fighting who. You can't just like when you're unranked, well, it doesn't give you anybody. It's like the sort of like a bit of a wait process, so you might slow down a bit like that as well." So I'll just say, like I said, I'm going to win this fight, get this out of the way, then see what offers. And like I said, they've been great to me so far, the UFC. And like I said, it's just going to get harder and harder and harder. I'm like prepared for that, so we'll see how it goes.
So obviously, not overlooking Tybura at all, but is there somebody particular that you would like to be matched up against in those rankings? You obviously mentioned a name like Derrick Lewis would be great profile for yourself, but is there somebody you've had your eye on?
I like not really. I always just let them matches and stuff like that. And like people always said, "Oh, if you the call out, it's good." But like I was unranked at the time, so I was like calling out people. I feel like when you've like in the rankings, you can look through. So like I said, there was before this fight was announced, there was a few people that said, "Oh, maybe Lewis would be great, Tuivasa would be great," and stuff like that. Because I'm a big names for the heavyweight division. But obviously, like Tuivasa had lost a few, so I didn't know if like I would get somebody like that or. But it just depends on the UFC. Did they want him to try and get a win? Did they want like me? You don't know how they like say it on the outside. So something like that would be maybe great. It's just for like a boost of like following and stuff like that. You beat something like that, you like blows eyes on you, watch that. But I'd probably be the way fight for something like that. And like obviously be a long flight to like somewhere like Australia or something like that. But something like that would be great. But I wouldn't really watch to see after I win this fight why I end up in the rankings. because I feel like maybe he's calling out somebody who's 15th. If I go 10th, maybe he's a bit silly. But if I'm only jumping to like 12th, maybe somebody who's 13th or 11th is better to thingy. So I'm not even sure how the rankings work. I don't think people do know how they work, because I've seen some people lose in the key position. I've seen some people win and not go up as much as I think. So it just might just depend how you finish them and stuff like that.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm just going to go through the top 5 heavyweights now at the moment. And if you want to give me just 1 or 2 words to just summarize them, it's sort of something, just fun or first thing that pops to mind, really.
Yeah.
So at 5 we have Curtis Blades.
Very good.
Very good, yeah. And 4 we've got Sergey Pavlovich.
Very powerful.
Yeah. 3 Alexander Volkov.
Tall and good.
And then we've got Cyril Gahn.
Nice movement.
Yeah. And finally, Tom Aspinall.
Very, very fast.
yeah. And then obviously the champ, Jon Jones.
He's the goat, isn't he? I'm going to say he's the goat. He is good.
He's the GOAT. So would you say, obviously that debate's to come into question now, so now, since he's become a heavyweight, is he your heavyweight GOAT, Jon Jones?
I don't think he's a heavyweight GOAT. He beat Cyril Gahn, but the grappling was like, it looked like easy for him, really. I don't know if Cyril Gahn was maybe I know like he's more of a striker, but I don't know if he was maybe he's a bit put off by the fact it was Jon Jones into him, and obviously Stipe has not really proven anything. I think Stipe was sort of done anyway, really. He's amazing. You can't say he's not amazing. Like I was when I first started, he was like the best thing at there, and he's still like up there. But I do think on the flip side, Tom just wants to fight the best people. I think realistically, I watched the top 5. I think he's beat most of the top 5. So like I don't know who they can really give him apart from Jones, which I hope really does come off. And like Jones is coming towards the end of his career, so in his prime, but now is definitely time to beat him as well. And Tom's obviously like coming to his prime himself, and like he just said, he just wants to fight him. He thinks he's the best fighter. He wants to fight him. I think it's like be a massive like financial thing for Tom. I think he get like loads of money to fight Jon Jones, and because I think it still must be in the back of his head. Like he's the champion, but he's still getting called interim champion, and like he fought for the belt and everything. And like I feel like anybody else will get stripped, obviously because it's Jon Jones. It's like maybe he could get treated a little bit better, but. I just want to say the fight as a fan, I'm as a fan as well. Obviously, Tom's my friend. I train with Tom all the time. I'm 100% behind Tom. But just a fan perspective, I think it's like the next big fight that people want, really. There's not much fight at the minute. I don't think there's any fights getting really pushed. But I definitely feel like a lot of fans want to watch that one. The only other option would probably be Pereira's, like a big name as well. But I think Dana White said he's going to have to stop that. Or Pereira himself said it might be like tapping 6 months to come up to heavyweight if he does come up. So I think it makes sense at heavyweight or like even in the UFC. I don't think there's a bigger fight really to make at the moment. So hopefully, I don't know if Jones wants to retire. He keeps saying he wanted more money, and it felt like he wants to retire again now. So I don't know if he's just really clever at playing the game, just getting loads and loads more money, or if he's just like, just not really interested in fighting anymore. I don't know.
Hopefully this year we do see that get made. Because it would clear up the division and can set us forward with a new champ and leaves us without the uncertainty. What is your, as you said, you obviously train with Tom a lot and you're a fan of the sport. What is your prediction if that fight does happen this year?
Honestly, like I can see like Jones is clever, so he might try and make it a bit harder and like stay away from Tom and stuff like that. But until you've actually trained with Tom, obviously I've never trained with Jones, so I can't say it. But like until you've trained with Tom, he's like you can watch how quick he is on the telly, and you're for a big guy. But when you're in front of him, like he is like so good on the feet, the way he moves and everything. And I think on his day, there's a chance he can knock like anybody out in the first minute. Honestly, I think he will. It's nothing like John's ever seen, and he's a big guy as well. It's like I know Jones is a big guy as well, but Tom's naturally like wanting about quite lean now. I think he's still like 116 kilo, and like maybe he's even heavier. And like he's a big guy, he's athletic, and he's like big. Size might start making a difference, but I would say Tom stopping him quite early. I could.
When was the first time you trained with Tom?
Oh, it was lockdown 2020.
Okay,
because it was round.
So early in your career.
I think he was still at Cage Warriors, or he might have just had his last fight in Cage Warriors, but don't think he was in the UFC when I got that. I don't think he was. I think he was on Cage Warriors. I trained in Liverpool a little bit, and I would go and train with him, obviously because he was a heavyweight, and like my friend said, he was good. He was really good, and he was a nice guy as well. You went and trim him for him. He wasn't like, he's not horrible to spar with. He's like really, really good, but like he helps you a lot, and you can pick up stuff training with him, and like you don't feel in danger that he's actually gonna try and knock your head off. Sometimes like it's definitely still a hard spar, and he's sharp and fast, and he hits you with a shot, but he's like nice and controlled. Like I think how sparring should be, especially with like people who are your friends. You don't want to be injuring each other, and yeah, I went from there. Like I said, we started training more and more to the point where now we're getting to camp. We'll travel down like once a week to train. Just for the different bodies and everything. Just good to have. Like when I'm practicing up there, sorry, up here, I can practice down there. What I'm practicing. When you got new bodies and stuff like that, it's good to like have a feel for stuff and how much you've improved and stuff like that.
And could you sense there was a real special talent there when you first trained or first had that sparring session? Where you're like, wow, this guy really is special.
Yeah, like I said, I obviously got Big Phil at my gym who was like, like well, he's such a good grappler, but it's awful for you when you're in there. But he's so good, and I trained with him. And Phil had been all over. Then Phil trained with him, and Phil was like, "Oh, he's really, really going to be something special." That was like early on. But yeah, just the way he moved, that it was just like his technique's obviously good, and his boxing's like really, really good. And obviously, he can grapple, and it's just the speed of like how quick he can cover distance and stuff like that on you. And like he's fit as well. It's like sometimes most of these fast people will slow down, like you can slow them down. Fifth round, he's still like hopping about like a lightweight, and it's just good to make you train with. Like I said, it's meant for the training aspect. It's good for even like just like the social media aspect of it as well, like being around the champion and stuff like that. Like I started getting noticed maybe a little bit more training with Tom and stuff like that. That's all you need really sometimes to get your foot in the door as well, to be training with good people. Sometimes that gets you the shout to get like, if I wasn't training with Paul Craig, I wouldn't have probably got the Contender Series, or I wouldn't have went that soon. So you need to be training with good people for yourself and even for like your career aspect as well.
Does that kind of spur you on, or does it inspire you in a way when you're kind of around those guys early in your career? You know, like it makes it a bit more realistic, the dreams.
Yeah, definitely. Like he's just a normal guy. Like a few things, like he was like, "Oh, I wasn't born fast. Like I trained, and that's how I got." His full games thing was like every time he would train, he was always like thinking about speed and stuff like that. And he's good just to talk to as well. Obviously Big Phil's been doing it for years now, and Tom's doing it for much longer than me. Obviously being in the UFC, he knows a lot of contacts and that. So whenever I'm stuck, I can message him. He'll give us some advice. He'll be like, "Oh, get in touch with this one, or get in touch with that one." Or when we've actually been lucky enough to fight in the same card, he's there. It's like easy fight week. Like you're with your corner, you go with his team, you go for food together. It's just like a laugh, really. It's so laid back and chilled. It's nice. And like I said, he gave us loads of pointers when we first won. He was like, "Oh, you get like the UFC make all your meals for the week, so go there and like put your orders in for your meals, and like like basically you can tell them exactly what you want, like how you want to, like it's amazing, the food's lovely, like the healthy meals, but they're really tasty, so they get you all that all week. Then there's like a physio at a hotel all week. You can book him with them and get like a massage and stuff like that all week, stuff like that maybe he's learned by doing, like maybe people have told him or he's seen it after a while I was going into it, already knowing all this, because he was giving us like tips, basically what to do, who to see, like who's in charge, this and that. So that was great as well for him. He's been a massive help for me.
March 22nd, all goes to plan. What's your predictions for the Tybura fight? How do you think it goes down?
It's going to be a hard fight. I tell myself this all the time, but like it is. He's like the last one. He got stung early. He's so durable. I feel like you could hurt him, and if you're not careful, you could like gash yourself out trying to finish him. But obviously, a finish would be lovely, a first round finish. But like, if I would actually be really happy doing 3 rounds with him, like a really, really seasoned person. I think it's going to be a bit different. I do think he will strike with you, but I also do think he'll mix in grappling, which obviously few of me fights don't anyone's really tried to take us down. So I am prepared for him to try and wrestle us as well. So I'm looking forward to a really good matchup. But he's so tough. I'd be absolutely over the moon with finish, but doing 3 rounds with him would be like amazing as well.
Yeah, get that experience in, and I'm sure it's going to be a great fight, and it's going to be a massive card for all the Brits watching. So yeah, we wish you all the best of luck, Mick. Hopefully, get to chat to you after the victory and talk about plans for the future, because I'm sure it's going to be very exciting following your career.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, great to have you on, mate, and all the best.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app, and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.